Hi, Dr. Webb.
This article talked about assessment. Assessment is basically used in a classroom setting to improve learning. It's the point of like taking private lessons, and it's also part of the curriculum in like any curriculum for any classroom. Um, yeah, so in my high school, we did playing tests as part of our assessment each quarter, and it was really relaxed. We would just come in during our lesson time and play an excerpt from one of the pieces that we were learning, um, either individually or we could choose to do it in a small group. That really lessened the pressure of performing in front of our director, even though it was relaxed anyway in general. Um, so yeah, uh, that was how we got assessed. And then we would get a grade based on how we played. And usually, if you played it well and in tune with good tone, you would get like a 100. Um, it wasn't really um, harshly graded at all. It was more of like a participation thing. Um, yeah, so there are also a couple types of assessment that they talked about in the article. The first one was authentic assessment, and this is out of school, like practical situations like um, NYSSMA, solo festival, concerts, lessons, basically just things that happen in the real world that aren't like tests in the classroom. Um, this authentic assessment is also assessing if a student knows what to do if they see like a crescendo or mezzo forte in their music. So it's more of a practical form of assessment rather than a formal type of assessment. Um, yeah, another type was summative assessments. This is basically summarizing what you've learned either from throughout the quarter or throughout the year. It's basically like a test at the end of the semester. Um, like a math test would be at the end of a unit um, that shows what you've learned that semester or that year. Um, Sometimes summative assessment is criticized because it's basically you're doing one test that and you have one chance to prove everything that you've learned, which can be unfair to some students, especially because music is a performing art, and it's you have to factor in anxiety and they have performance anxiety, so it might not be the best option for some students, which is why you could do formative assessments is also what they talked about. Formative is assessing throughout the year, so throughout lessons, throughout concerts, rehearsals, and it's not a one-time assessment. It happens throughout. Like each time you see the student, you assess if they're growing and learning and understanding the material more. It's less pressure. It's way less pressure than doing a single assessment at the end of a school year. So it'll help and be better for students who don't perform well under pressure. Another type of assessment is normative scoring, and this assesses how a student is doing in relationship to other students in the classroom. So this is important for like picking students who are going to go to all state or like all county festivals. Also, like who will be the principal of each section, who the concert master is going to be. Yeah, just based off of how everyone else in the ensemble is doing. Criterion related assessment assesses a student based on previous standards or criteria for that grade level. So there's a couple different ways you can assess a student. You can evaluate their performance skills. So how well they do at a NYSSMA solo festival, in a concert or in contests. Also just evaluating like tone, pitch, rhythm, expression. Are they playing the instrument with good technique? Things like that. Also, you can assess their reading skills. So understanding musical information without direction from the teacher. Like, are they playing like tenuto, or are they playing like staccato, and they understand what that means. Also, like, can they sight read well? Just having like musical like understanding. You can also assess their auditory visual skills. So can they figure out if they're playing out of tune or not? Can they recognize like a chord progression? And do they recognize like common chords and harmonies? So yeah.